Thank you very much, Lefteris, and thank you to all the panelists and to Spiros in particular, because of course we as constituency are often portraying ourselves as that engine of transformation that you just described, Spiros. But the reality that we face, that the mayors that you have been hearing, they are trying to do many things, but they are not able to do as many, and they often don't have that much competencies. On the other hand, I think if we deepen the partnership that we have with civil society and with NGOs like yours, we can get really far. And I think that is the game changer that we are starting to look into. We have gathered ourselves in communities of practice like this one, and I would also like to acknowledge the Council of Mayors for Migration colleagues that are somewhere in this very populated room, and many other sister organizations that are working on this topic. So we are trying to stand together to do things. We are trying to establish a structural dialogue with national government. I think it's a very important step. We are making our voice heard internationally, like for instance in the mayoral mechanism and the International Forum for Migration and Development. We are trying to do all of these steps. I think that we need a more structural relation also with civil society. I think at local level it exists, but I think at global level there is a next step that we could undertake, and probably our voice could be heard. I am very conscious that we had Douala that still wanted to take the floor, and I don't know if they are around. I also have the Secretary General of our section in MEWA, whom I would invite to give a couple of comments. Mehmet, from your perspective, being based in Istanbul. My dear colleague, you will need to be very brief, but please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Emilia. Hello, everyone. As you see, Al Jumeirah, we are closely following up local government action regarding COVID-19 crisis. In this process, services through local governments continue to be provided to refugees as well, without discrimination. The social protection project of our partner organization, World Academy for Local Government and Democracy, shortly WALT, serve refugees through special protection desk in 11 districts of Istanbul in cooperation with UNHCR. In addition, the COVID-19 related actions are monitoring in cooperation with local governments and central public authorities, social services centers, and social support groups. Continuous and updated follow-up information are shared with refugees through WhatsApp groups and other social media platforms. New services provided by UNICEF, UNFPA, and IOM, particularly for refugees, are communicated to local government representatives. 471 hygiene boxes are distributed to the refugees above 65 years old and those who suffer from chronic diseases living in the Anatolian side of Istanbul. This is done in cooperation with the Turkish Red Crescent and WALT Social Protection Desk in the municipalities. In this process, refugees are supported through telephone, through official translators, and are directed to the relevant institutions and organizations. The lawyers of Social Protection Desk continuously update refugees about the announcement by the government within the scope of fight against COVID-19. All of the information is translated into Arabic and English and shared with the beneficiaries. Protective measures to tackle the spread of COVID-19 pandemic will also be carried out online by Syrian doctors. I also would like to underline that Some of Syrian refugee doctors are actively working voluntarily in hospitals in the countries fighting COVID-19. To conclude, local governments in our region, especially those in Istanbul, where our General Secretary is located, continue to provide services to entire public during COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to atmosphere of solidarity, the necessary measures are strongly taken in which all segments of society can have access to basic services. As a result of measures taken in Turkey, the protection of refugees infected with the virus is not higher than that of Turkish citizens. On this occasion, I would like to share with you the recent statistics of COVID-19 in Turkey as of April 19. 4,062 new cases were confirmed and 107 people have died, while 842 people recovered. We hope that the number of cases and deaths will remain and stable for a while and will soon decline. I wish you all a healthy future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, and good luck to Turkey indeed with handling those statistics, certainly being in a country with much worse numbers than that. We wish you all the best. Look, colleagues, I'm going to start the wrap up, and I want to give you an idea about what is next here. And we have three angles to cover. So what we as World Organization propose our membership to do as United Cities and local governments, what we are going to be collaborating with our partners within the MC2CM project, what are the next steps there, and also how this discussion needs to impact in what I think is an urgent call from local and regional governments on the aftermath of COVID. So I'll try to very quickly cover these three angles. And I will start with the last one. The mayor of Lampedusa has been calling for an initiative which we are keen to call the Lampedusa Charter, where we develop ideas and notions about how we would like the migration issue to be handled in the future, not only within the context of COVID, but in a much broader context. A more political declaration where we propose a transformation of our governance systems and of our legal frameworks to ensure that indeed migrants, no matter where they come from, are one more neighbor, one more inhabitant of our territories. So that from the perspective of this very political approach, and that should be feeding into the proposals that we need to make to national governments and the international community on how they will need to take a special care of local governments if we want this aftermath not to lead to a total social crisis. I am hearing that in order to save funding, because we will need to be investing it to overcome the depression, we are thinking in many countries at national level to cut down on service provision. I cannot imagine a worse idea than that. And cutting down on service provision also impacts migrants. So it's some of the messages that we will need to provide, and the perspective of migration needs to be included in that, in those recommendations that we will be discussing in UCLG and with other partners. Then at very practical level, next steps for the MC2CM project, the participants in those projects, we are going to be documenting experiences, providing case studies about responses. This is not going to be the last pandemic we are going to face. And so we need to be prepared, we need to be documented, and we need to share the experiences. We are going to be producing also policy recommendations for the group of cities that are participating there and based on their own plans. And we will need to enhance the policy dialogue, national and local, that I was mentioning before. And then on the third pillar, I think it will be critical to ensure that with civil society, we start identifying some of the key priorities that we need to tackle to make sure that the measures that are being taken by this constituency and that we have heard about become not temporary, but permanent in the approach of migration. Issues like housing, issues like the legal status and framework. So I hope, colleagues, that all of you are going to accompany us in this path to ensure that we not only change the narrative, but also the actions around migration. And I will not be able to close the meeting without inviting my colleague and Undersecretary General, Maimouna, any closing remarks from your side?
Thank you very much, Amelia, and it's very, very, I think, comprehensive wrap-up from you. Just for me, is that as a conclusion, I think from this COVID-19, don't recognize whether we are migrant, whether we are IDPs, whether we are citizen or the host, whether we are white or black or brown. The needs of the health services or home or sanitation or water, food, education are the same, equal. Either is a need for help for legal or the governance. This is either is it in terms of accessibility, education, and also in terms of the affordability. So this COVID-19 actually already changed the normal way, the nature and the way that we make decisions. So our new normal now is a color and status blind. So our new normal now is looking at the humanity, the human values, human rights, and human needs in terms of public policy or in terms of this public health. And this leads to due to this humanity, leads to the cities of solidarity, clearly trying to implement leaving no one behind and leaving no place behind, and local government and cities. I learned one word just now. I mentioned about cities as the engine of growth. Now is cities also as engine of change, engine of transformative change. So we need, in terms of the vertical integration and the horizontal integration, as I normally say, that vertical, global, national, regional, local, and the horizontal is all the civil society, private sector, in this case, NGOs, and also include a migrant. So this is the way that we are moving forward to really implement what we preach or what we agreed, new urban agenda, and to achieve the sustainable development goal. There is a hope, and if we work together in terms of solidarity. That's all. Thank you very much. Emilia, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Maimouna. Please remember that Metropolis is leading our platform on Cities for Global Health with over 200 cases already that have been gathered with important inputs from the different sister networks, many cases from Latin America promoted by our network, ALAS. Please upload your cases and go to this platform because there are many, many interesting things. Next week we have culture and finance. And now I would like to give the floor, President, you close the meeting. Over to you.
Merci beaucoup, c'était vraiment très intéressant. Je remercie Maimouna du Habitat, je remercie tous les participants, notre secrétariat mondial et les différentes sections, que ce soit à Quito ou à Tunis ou en Athènes. On se rend compte qu'on est en train, en tant que collectivité territoriale, de s'adapter au nouveau monde qui commence dès demain. c'est un nouveau monde où vraiment, même les compétences entre le national et le local, ils vont changer. Aujourd'hui, dans la discussion sur l'immigration, il est clair que la compétence de solidarité et du social va relever de plus en plus des collectivités territoriales. Je crois que c'est ça la conclusion de cet apprentissage. Et merci à tous et à toutes.